Gungrave is a budget 2002 release with just a little over 2 hours of frantic gameplay that, despite its simplistic, straightforward, and repetitive nature, still manages to be an engaging experience that was worth the $20 budget price of admission when it hit. In Gungrave, you play as Grave, brought back from the dead Eric Draven style, who's on a mission to avenge his untimely death and bring down a shadow underworld criminal organization known as... what else? The Syndicate. I'm not a manga or anime fan, but the characters were designed by, and sorry if I butcher this, Yasuhiro Nitao, who is known for his Trigun series. Gungrave is a game I think gets looked back on with more appreciation now than it did at the time of its release, because mainstream tastes were a little different at the time. Keep that in mind whenever you see someone go back and review a game by quote-unquote today's standards. They really just mean the popular flavor of the moment. This game came out post Devil May Cry, and at the time I would say this game would have been seen as a game that put style over substance. People looking for something like Devil May Cry would have found it to be too shallow and way too short. Hindsight, however, has separated it from its contemporaries and puts those comparisons into the dustbin of gaming history, allowing the game to stand on its own without having the comparisons of its generation right alongside it. At its core, Gungrave is an unapologetic, straightforward shooter with a unique art direction and simple, repetitive gameplay. Basically, you shoot everything, and just in case, shoot it one more time. Grave shoots his way through the levels filled with all kinds of gun-toting baddies with varying degrees of toughness set in various locales around the city. At the end of each level, he fights a boss. Each boss has their own unique patterns to learn and vary in difficulty from easy to less easy to moderate difficulty. In fact, I only struggled in one boss fight on my first playthrough of this game. They aren't all overly easy, but with strategic use of demolition shots and life refills, it makes them a lot more manageable. The simple design might be off-putting for those looking for more depth in their action games, but the addition of the combo meter used to fill the demolition shot meter to earn big damaging attacks to be unleashed on your foes does add a little strategy to the mix. The demolition shots can also be spent via the pause menu to buy life refills in the rare case you'll need to refill your life. In-game, your combo can be continued by either killing enemies or destroying various environmental objects, so there is a method to the mayhem. The gunplay in the game is the highlight of the experience. While the tank controls and the inconsistent lock-on system may be a bit off-putting, you'll really only need to lock onto the bosses anyway, every other maneuver in the game is as thrilling to pull off as it is visually appealing. Grave can move forward while shooting, stand still to unleash a psychotic flurry of exhilarating shots, and even the coffin he carries on his back can be used to melee nearby enemies. There are also various dodging shot maneuvers which come in handy against the bosses in particular or just dodging regular enemies, and of course the aforementioned demolition shots, of which new ones can be earned based on your level performance. Combine the sleek gunplay, stylistic art direction, combo system, and various other abilities into one, and you have a very engaging experience for both hours the game lasts. So yeah, that's actually not an exaggeration. I'm guessing the reason this game was released at a budget $20 price tag was because its short length wouldn't justify a full price for it. On the default difficulty, thanks to the generous regenerating shield system, the game can be walked through in about 2 hours or less with little difficulty. There are multiple difficulty levels to play on and a handful of unlockables in the game, so you may be able to stretch playtime out to maybe 10 hours, give or take. Your mileage may vary. Graphically, the game's cel-shaded anime art direction helps the graphics hold up better than if it was going for realism at the time. However, there are bouts of slowdown when the action gets intense. The controls take a bit of getting used to as they are Tomb Raider style tank controls, but they only become an issue when there's an enemy at a strange angle right behind you, and the previously mentioned lock-on system is finicky and unreliable at best. It's best left alone unless you're in a boss fight, and even then it only kind of works. There is an option to turn on auto fire in the options menu that I also recommend. I played through the entire game once without it, and it wasn't until one of my swole gym bro co-workers wanted to arm wrestle a couple of days later with my wrist saying, "Not in my house," that I realized that sometimes turning on auto fire to save your forearm and wrist some damage is better than having stupid pride. I can still press buttons really fast, but doing it for 2 hours straight? Not so good on my forearm, so I do suggest auto fire. Sound-wise, the voice acting is well done and in Japanese with English subtitles, for those subbed versus dubbed people out there, and the explosions and gunshots are well done. I'm not good at describing music, but it definitely has an anime/jazzy gangster cartoon flick feel to it. Not that you'll be able to hear it with all the carnage going on. Now, checking on eBay for anyone buying physically, the asking price for this game is about $70 as of making this video. So it's up to you if you want to spend $35 an hour on this game. That being said, the more refined, further expanded, and better playing sequel, Gungrave Overdose, is around $40. So if you can choose only one, Overdose is the better buy of the two. I'm not one to call for a lot of remakes or remasters, but a re-release of some kind of Gungrave and Overdose would be nice in order to drive the price of the physical versions of the games down. The bottom line. Fun, simple, straightforward, stylish, short. Gungrave is worth playing if you come across it. When it hit, even for its budget price, it seemed to be a game that people either loved or hated. If you overlooked it when it hit, or maybe even dislike it, I'd say give it another look if you find it cheaply enough. There is enough intense action and unlockables to give you reason to play it through multiple times. Not the greatest game ever on the PS2, but definitely not a bad game, and it was definitely misunderstood for its time. It's a straightforward shooter, and it's worth playing.